At Christmas, my sister was handed a condo worth six figures, and I was handed a $5 gift card. When I cut them off, Dad called threatening legal action over the property titled in my name. Hey Reddit, so last Christmas my parents made it real clear where I stood in the family pecking order. Let's just say my sister walked away with something life-changing, and I walked away with something that wouldn't even cover lunch. I didn't throw a fit, didn't cry. I walked out and decided I was done playing their game. What followed flipped everything upside down for them and put me in the driver's seat for the first time in my life. So this happened last Christmas in Seattle. I, Ian, 26 male. My sister Amber, 24 female. She's always been the golden child, and I've always been the one who figures things out on his own. I've heard that line since I was like 10. Anyway, we're sitting in the living room, tree lit, wrapping paper everywhere. Amber's got this big box from Mom and Dad. She opens it, and it's a freaking binder with documents and pictures. She flips through and starts squealing. No way, no way! Turns out they put the down payment on a condo for her. Fully furnished. Paid for the furniture, appliances, even kitchen crap she'll never use because she lives off Uber Eats. They had a slideshow of the place on the TV, like some big presentation. Dad goes, "We wanted to give you a real start, Amber. You deserve it." Mom's wiping her eyes like it's the proudest moment of her life. Meanwhile, they hand me a tiny envelope. I open it, and it's a $5 Walmart gift card. $5. You can't even buy a pack of socks with that. Mom goes, "You're so good with money, Ian. You don't really need much." Dad chimes in with, "We know you'll always land on your feet. You're independent." Amber's jumping around, already talking about how she'll decorate the condo, which room will be her content studio for Instagram. She hugs them like she won the lottery. Now, normally I'd just shut my mouth and let it pass. But I wasn't going to sit there like a clown this time. I leaned back in the chair, held up the gift card and said, "So she gets a condo and I get $5 at Walmart? Guess being responsible really pays off." The room went dead quiet. Dad's face turned red instantly. "Watch your tone, Ian." Mom shook her head and hit me with the classic, "We love you both the same." Amber smirked and goes, "Don't worry, bro. I'll let you crash at my place if you need it." I laughed. "Nah, I'll stick with my truck and the place I paid for myself. At least I earned those." Dad clenched his jaw like he wanted to explode, but I just tossed the envelope on the table and went back to sipping my coffee. Nobody said much after that. The vibe was ruined, and honestly, I was glad. See, I had been planning to tell them about my promotion. I'm a construction project manager, just got bumped up last month. Youngest on my team to ever get the role. I was actually proud of that. Figured maybe this Christmas they'd finally look at me like I wasn't just the backup kid. But watching them drool over Amber's condo, I knew it wouldn't matter. They didn't ask about my job, didn't ask about anything. Just treated me like background noise. We did the whole dinner routine later, and Amber dominated every conversation. Dad kept talking about how a condo in Seattle is an investment. Smart move. He said it like he personally taught her how to hustle, when in reality she hasn't worked a steady job more than 6 months in her life. I sat there cutting my steak, not even bothering to argue. I knew it was a waste of breath. When dessert came out, Mom tried to smooth things over. She said, "Ian, you should be proud. You're so strong and independent. We never have to worry about you," which is basically parent code for "we don't have to do jack for you." I just nodded, but inside I was already planning my exit. Later that night, after everyone went to bed, I packed my bag. I didn't even take much. Couple changes of clothes, my laptop, my tool bag, left the rest. I pulled their house key off my ring and set it on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation. Just the key sitting there next to the coffee maker that would click on in a few hours like nothing had changed. I stepped outside, snow already piling up on the driveway. My Toyota truck sat there, 7 years old, a little beat up, but mine. Paid off with my own sweat. I tossed my bag in, started it up, and let it warm. Stared at the house one last time. Lights off, quiet, like any other Christmas night. Then I pulled out. Didn't peel out, didn't slam doors. Just drove, headed south. No plan, no goodbye, just done. And the funny thing? I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. I wasn't walking away in shame. I was leaving because I finally saw it clear. They'd never see me as equal. I could build skyscrapers, retire at 40, and it still wouldn't be enough next to their princess. That $5 gift card? That was the message. "Here's what you're worth to us, Ian. $5 and a pat on the back." So I took their message, and I left. Snow was coming down heavy on I-5, and the wipers on my old Toyota were doing that squeaky skip move they always do when the glass gets icy. Didn't matter. Heater on, bag in the passenger seat, Engine humming. It felt like freedom. Phone was buzzing nonstop in the cup holder. Mom, Dad, Amber, one after another. I ignored them at first, figured they'd cool down. Then the texts started stacking. Where are you? You're being dramatic. Answer the phone. Mom left a voicemail saying my little tantrum was ruining her holiday and raising her blood pressure. That one actually made me laugh out loud. The woman gave my sister a condo and gave me $5. And somehow I'm the stress in her life. Then Dad's voicemail came in. His voice had that fake authority tone he used to use when I was a teenager. Ian, return the car immediately, or I'll report it stolen. You have until morning. I nearly spit my coffee when I heard it. The car? My Toyota truck? The one I bought used, worked overtime to pay off, fixed myself, title in my name, insurance in my name? Yeah, apparently in Dad's mind, he owned that too. I hit save on that voicemail, figured it might come in handy one day when I needed to remind myself just how delusional he was. Road was slick in parts. Around Olympia, I hit a patch of black ice and the rear slid out. For half a second, I thought I was going to spin into the guardrail. Steered into it, caught the slide, straightened it out. Heart barely jumped. I just muttered, figures. That's how the whole drive felt. Slippery, dangerous, but I knew I'd keep it straight. By the time I crossed into Oregon, I'd replayed every independent speech they'd ever fed me. You don't need as much help. You'll always figure it out. Amber just needs a little extra. It wasn't compliments. It was excuses. Translation. We're not giving you anything, because you'll survive without us. Meanwhile, survival apparently made me the family bank, while Amber burned through their money-chasing, creative passions. Around 6 a.m., I pulled into this hole-in-the-wall diner off the highway. Only a couple of trucks in the lot. Inside smelled like bacon grease and burnt coffee. Exactly what I needed. I sat at the counter, ordered eggs and hash browns, kept to myself. The waitress, older lady with gray streaks in her hair, came over to top my mug. She glanced at me and said, "Rough night?" I shrugged. "Rough family." She nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times. Then she dropped the line that stuck with me. Blood makes you related. Respect makes you family. Simple. Straight. No Hallmark card energy. Just the truth. I smirked. Yeah, you got that right. Finished my plate, left a 20 for a $12 meal, and walked out feeling more awake than I had in months. Back in the truck, I finally answered a call. Not from family, but from Monica, my college friend. We used to pull all-nighters cramming for exams. She saw plenty of my family nonsense back then. First thing she said when I picked up, "Where are you?" "Somewhere in southern Oregon," I told her, heading south. "Don't really know where I'll stop." There was a pause. Then she said, "Come to San Diego. I've got a spare room. No strings. Just get down here." I almost brushed it off. Old habits, you know? I'm used to doing everything solo, but she cut me off before I could say anything. "Ian, you've spent your whole life carrying everyone else. Let someone carry you for once." That hit me harder than Dad's threats or Mom's guilt trips. I didn't say much, just nodded, even though she couldn't see it. "All right, text me your address. I'll get there." And just like that, I had a destination. Not wandering, not lost. San Diego. Before I hit the road again, I opened my phone one last time. 17 missed calls, dozens of texts. Same recycled garbage. "Come back, Ian. You're being dramatic. Amber needs your support. We can talk about this." I scrolled through them, shook my head, then turned off notifications completely. Silence. No buzzing, no guilt, no fake urgency. Just me and the road. By mid-morning, the snow started thinning, sky clearing. I rolled the window down a crack, let the cold air hit. Felt good. For the first time in my life, I wasn't running on their approval. I wasn't the fallback son or the built-in safety net. I was just a guy in his truck heading south, finally choosing himself. Dad could keep his threats. Mom could play the victim. Amber could play homeowner Barbie in her condo. I wasn't their punching bag anymore. And that $5 Walmart card? Still in my wallet. Not as some sad keepsake, but as proof. Proof of what they thought I was worth, and proof of why I was done playing their game. By the time I rolled into San Diego, I'd been on the road a full day and a half. Truck was covered in road grime. I was running on diner coffee and beef jerky, but I felt more alive than I had in years. Monica had the spare room ready, air mattress blown up, fresh sheets. First thing she said when I walked in, "Don't get comfortable because you're not freeloading. You're just landing here until you figure things out." I laughed. That's the point. I'd rather crash on the floor here than live in a condo bought with excuses. Next morning, I was already making moves. Fired off an email to HR about a transfer to the San Diego office. I figured it'd take weeks, maybe months. They approved it in 2 days. Guess when you're the guy who finishes every project ahead of schedule, people actually want you around. My boss even wrote back, "We'll be lucky to have you." That one line meant more than 30 Christmases in Seattle combined. I found a one-bedroom apartment the week after. Nothing flashy, beige carpet, kitchen barely big enough to turn around in, balcony that faced the parking lot. But the lease had my name on it, and the rent came from my bank account. I didn't need my parents to buy me a damn thing. Signing those papers felt like planting a flag. And just when I was settling in, the escalation hit. 2 weeks into San Diego, I get a call from Seattle PD. The officer on the line says, "Mr. Collins, your father reported your Toyota pickup as stolen. We just need to verify ownership." I nearly laughed into the phone. The truck's parked outside my apartment in San Diego. Title, insurance, bill of sale, all in my name. Want me to fax them over? I sent everything. Even attached Dad's Christmas voicemail, where he threatened to report it stolen. The sergeant on the other end chuckled. "Send the paperwork over and we'll review it. Shouldn't be a problem." That's all I needed to hear. Dad had actually gone out of his way to try and screw me legally, and it still blew up in his face. When Monica got home that night, I had the paperwork spread out on the kitchen table next to a half-empty takeout box. I hit play on Dad's voicemail and slid her the phone. She listened, shook her head, then started laughing. "Your old man really tried to jack your truck? Welcome to my family," I said. "They don't lose gracefully." Instead of being mad, I felt calm, almost smug. That voicemail wasn't just petty, it was proof. Proof that they weren't just playing favorites. They were willing to lie and cheat just to keep control. Meanwhile, work was the exact opposite. Within the first month, they put me on a commercial build downtown that was weeks behind. Some older guy on the crew gave me attitude. "What's a 26-year-old know about running this?" I didn't argue, just told him, "Check the blueprints and get moving." 3 weeks later, we were back on schedule. Boss shook my hand in front of everyone and said, "Good call bringing you here." That right there, validation. No favoritism, no fake love, just respect earned. I started piecing together a little garage workspace in my apartment. Bought a used saw off Craigslist, picked up lumber from Home Depot. First project was a bench. It came out uneven, legs wobbly, but solid enough to sit on. But while I was building up in San Diego, my parents were tearing me down in Seattle. Word started getting back through old coworkers and a couple cousins. According to my parents, I'd had a mental breakdown. I was living in squalor. Some story even floated around that I'd joined a cult. I didn't even get mad. I just smirked. Let them talk. The more lies they spread, the more pathetic they looked when people realized I was in San Diego, crushing projects and pulling a salary bigger than both of theirs combined. Amber tried sending a few selfies from her condo, pretending her life was perfect. Designer mugs on the counter, string lights, captions about independence. I could see the cracks, though. Half her furniture still had tags on it, and her smile looked forced. I didn't respond. I wasn't worried about them anymore. They could spread rumors, fake cry, or play homeowner Barbie. None of it mattered. I had proof they couldn't touch me legally, respect at work, and a lease with my own name on it. For the first time, I wasn't playing defense in their game. I was running my own. That's when the wedding invite landed. Cousin Vanessa, big white envelope with her name in glittery calligraphy. Inside, RSVP card with my name spelled perfectly, but no +1. Just me. Typical. I sat at the table flipping it over when Monica walked in. She saw the invite, whistled, and said, "So you going?" "Yeah," I said, on my terms, not theirs. First thing I did was book a hotel downtown, couple blocks from the venue. Solid place, gym, quiet. Parents had already sent a voicemail telling me to stay at some rental house they'd booked for the family. I didn't respond. Booking my own hotel was the message. The weeks leading up, the phone lit up again. Aunt Judith called me with her sweet voice. "Family sticks together, Ian. You should let bygones be bygones." I told her, "Funny, didn't hear that when everyone was cashing in on me." Hung up. By the time I landed in Seattle, I had everything lined up. Fresh haircut, tailored suit, shoes polished. Not over the top, just sharp. I walked through SeaTac with my carry-on like I was there on business. Which I was, just not the kind they expected. At the hotel, I dropped my bag, hit the gym. Nothing crazy, just a quick lift to shake off the flight. Felt good knowing while they were crammed into some Airbnb fighting over bathrooms, I was in a king bed with clean sheets and space. That night, I scrolled through the family group chat. They'd been buzzing all day. Pictures of the rental house. Amber posting her airport fit like she was some celebrity. Dad's one-liners about big family weekend. I didn't reply. Let them stew. The next day, I walked into the rehearsal dinner. Heads turned right away. Aunts, uncles, cousins, people whispering. You could feel it. I wasn't the quiet background kid anymore. Cousin Tara slid over first, vodka tonic in hand, grinning. God, am I glad you're here. You wouldn't believe the drama since Christmas. Oh, I'd believe it, I said. She leaned in, lowered her voice. Your parents are selling the house. They say medical bills, but everyone knows they've been floating amber for months. I raised an eyebrow. Condo queen running dry already? Apparently. She's been maxing cards. Your dad covered a few, but now he's out of work. Tara trailed off and sipped her drink. That was news. Dad unemployed. Guess that explains why he was desperate enough to fake a stolen vehicle report. I didn't show surprise, though. Just smirked. Guess reality finally sent the bill. Across the room, I saw Amber holding court with a few cousins. New dress, fake smile, same old show. She spotted me, waved, and started heading over. Ian, she squealed, arms out like we were long-lost friends. I let her hug me but kept my body stiff. Amber, you look... Wow, she said, giving me the once-over. San Diego must be treating you well. Better than Seattle ever did, I said flat. She laughed nervously and tapped my arm. We need some sibling time before the wedding madness starts. Maybe grab coffee tomorrow? I shrugged. Maybe. I've got my own schedule. Her smile slipped just a little, but she recovered quick. Well, just text me. I want to catch up. Translation, she wanted to test the waters, maybe fish for sympathy, maybe money. I wasn't giving her either. Dinner went on. I kept conversations light. Talked shop with a cousin in real estate, swapped a few jokes with an uncle. Nobody brought up Christmas directly, but I caught the side glances. Everyone knew, and they were curious. Not about Amber's condo, but about me. One uncle pulled me aside and said, "Heard you're running projects down south. Impressive at your age." That right there was enough. Respect, not pity. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. When dessert wrapped up, I headed toward the exit, and that's when Uncle Pete caught me. Big guy. Always thought he was the family peacemaker. He motioned me outside like we were about to have some heart-to-heart. Ian, he started, lowering his voice. I know things have been rough between you and your folks, but family doesn't cut family out. Your dad's been under stress. Your mom misses you. Can't you just be the bigger man here? I looked him dead in the eye and said, Pete, bigger man doesn't mean doormat. They gave my sister a condo and gave me $5 at Walmart. They tried to have my truck impounded like I stole it. If that's family, maybe I'm better off without. He opened his mouth, probably ready to quote some Hallmark forgiveness line, but I cut him off. You want me to forgive? Tell them to pay back what they owe and stop acting like I'm their backup plan. Until then, I'm not their fixer. Pete's face twisted. He muttered something about bitterness eating you alive. I just smirked, clapped him on the shoulder, and said, Nah, I'm eating steak dinners in San Diego while they sell the house. I'll live. Then I walked back to the hotel. Phone buzzed as I kicked my shoes off. Amber again. Don't forget, sibling time. I set it down without replying. She could wait. This wasn't her stage anymore. The morning of the wedding, Vanessa's Aunt Martha tracked me down. She leaned close and whispered, Your parents need to see you. Library. They said it's important. Of course they did. I knew what was coming. An ambush. I walked in 20 minutes later. Big wood-paneled library. Fireplace lit. Chairs lined up like some kind of intervention. Mom sat stiff. Tissue already clutched in her hand. Dad was pacing back and forth. Shoulders tight, face red. Amber stood by the window in a designer dress, arms folded like she was the star witness. Ian, Mom said, popping up immediately. Thank God you came. I didn't move past the doorway. I've got half an hour before the ceremony. Make it quick. Sit down, Dad barked, pointing at the empty chair across from them. I pulled the chair out, but stayed standing, resting my hand on the back of it. No thanks. I'll stand. What's this about? Amber started. Ian, this has gone far enough. Dad lost his job 3 months ago. Mom's been in therapy. We're selling the house. Things are falling apart. She made sure to sound like she was carrying the family burden, like she was the responsible one now. Dad cut in fast. This all started when you stormed out at Christmas. You're punishing us. It has to stop. Mom dabbed her eyes. We can't sleep at night worrying about you. You're tearing this family apart. I leaned on the chair. You want me to feel sorry? Let's lay the cards out. Cards? Dad snapped. Yeah, like Amber's 6th birthday. Pony rides, entertainers, castle cake, 30 kids. Remember mine the next year? 2 friends from school, grocery store cake, dollar bin hats. Equal, right? Dad's jaw tightened. But I wasn't done. High school graduation, I was valedictorian. You missed it because Amber had a junior varsity soccer game. Said you'd watch the recording. You never did, but you made it to every one of her matches like she was playing for the Olympics. Mom stammered. We did our best. No, I cut her off. You had money. I know exactly when Dad got promoted. I know when Grandma's inheritance came through. And I know where it went. Straight into Amber's tuition and her Europe trip while I was working double shifts to pay off loans. 70 grand in debt while she's drinking wine in Paris, finding herself. Don't tell me times were different. I lived it. Amber crossed her arms tighter. That was your choice. You picked engineering. I laughed once. Yeah, I picked work. You picked vacations, and Mom and Dad picked up the bill. Big difference. Mom's voice cracked. We always knew you'd succeed without our help. You were so capable. Exactly, I snapped. Capable doesn't mean disposable. Surviving doesn't mean I deserved less. You didn't raise me to be independent. You raised me to be the fallback while you spoiled her. The room went still. Dad's pacing slowed, but I could see the anger boiling in his face. He hated being called out, especially with no wiggle room. Then I reached into my pocket, pulled out the Walmart gift card from Christmas, and set it on the table. This, I said. This is what you thought I was worth. $5 at Walmart while she gets a condo. That's your legacy. Dad's eyes went wide, then narrowed. What is this nonsense? I smiled. It's reality. And I've been living it for 26 years. Amber picked it up, turning it over like she couldn't believe I still had it. Her voice softened. I never realized how it looked from your side. I leaned forward. Of course you didn't. You never had to. Dad slammed his palm on the table, rattling the card. We will not be dictated to by our own son. I smirked. Then we're done here. But before I walked, I laid it out. You want me around? You want a shot at fixing this? 3 conditions. 1, pay me back what you owe. I'm talking loans. Years of being the afterthought. Not handouts, repayment. 2, stop using me as your safety net. I'm not your emergency fund. 3, respect. You want my time or my help? You treat me as an equal. You don't? Then I don't show up. Mom's eyes went wide, tears actually forming this time, not just staged. We never meant to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase impact, I shot back. You raised 1 golden child and 1 workhorse. That was your choice. Now I'm making mine. And with that, I slipped my jacket back on and walked out. Calm. No yelling, no drama. Just left them sitting there with their excuses, their guilt, and that $5 card staring them in the face. The best part? I didn't need their reaction. Whether they screamed, cried, or denied, I'd already won. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't standing in their shadow. I was standing on my own ground. And apparently that ground was shaking theirs. Because a week after the wedding, the calls started again. This time from Amber. First, it was texts with little smiley faces. Then, it escalated into actual phone calls with a tone I'd never heard from her before. Panic. I ignored the first 3. Finally picked up the 4th. Ian, she said, voice cracked. I lost the condo. I leaned back in my chair, phone on speaker, sipping my coffee. What do you mean, lost it? The bank started foreclosure. I'm drowning, Ian. Credit cards, loans, everything's maxed. I don't know what to do. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. Just let her twist. Ian, she said again. I finally answered. Sounds rough. You've got 2 options. 1, cut the spending and make a budget. 2, get a second job. Maybe both. But don't call me for money. There was silence. Then a sniffle. You're really just gonna leave me hanging? Amber, for 24 years you were carried. Time to walk on your own legs. Consider it overdue training. Then I hung up. No yelling, no drama, just click. I figured that was the end of it. But 2 days later, the desperation moved up the food chain. I came home from work and found my parents sitting on the steps outside my San Diego apartment. Dad in a wrinkled polo, Mom with her classic, I've been crying face. They must have gotten my address from Amber. I didn't even pause, just walked right past them, unlocked my door. Ian, wait! Mom stood up. We just want to talk. I turned, blocking the doorway. You drove 1,200 miles to talk? Number. You came here to drag me back. Not happening. Dad puffed up like he was still the authority. We're family. You don't get to shut us out. I smirked. Watch me. Mom's lip trembled. We're losing everything. The house is on the market. Your father? I cut her off. Don't care. You made your bed, now you're laying in it. I'm not your safety net. If you don't leave right now, I'll call the cops and report you for harassment. Dad's face went red, fists clenched. For a second, I thought he might swing. But then he remembered how that would look. He muttered something about ungrateful and stormed down the stairs. Mom followed, sobbing loud enough to make sure the neighbors noticed. Door shut. Done. The timing couldn't have been better, because the next morning, my phone buzzed with a call from a sergeant back in Seattle. Mr. Collins, he said, we're closing the case on your father's false vehicle report. Just so you know, it's been logged as a false claim. He may face fines if he tries it again. I almost laughed. Good. Appreciate the update. Karma. Served cold. Meanwhile, work in San Diego was exploding. Our firm landed a high-profile downtown project. A mixed-use tower with offices, apartments, retail. Huge contract. I got put on as lead project manager. 2 weeks later, a construction trade magazine ran a feature with my name in bold. Ian Collins, 26, bringing fresh vision to San Diego's skyline. I didn't even have to brag. My LinkedIn inbox blew up with congrats from old classmates and coworkers back in Seattle. Some of the same people who'd bought into the Ian's unstable rumors were now commenting things like, looks like you proved everyone wrong. One guy even wrote, didn't your parents say you dropped out of engineering? Guess they were wrong. Yeah, they were wrong. And now everybody knew it. That night, I went out with Monica and a couple coworkers to celebrate. Nothing crazy, just dinner, laughs, and a toast to the new project. I kept thinking, this is what respect feels like. People seeing me for what I can do, not what I can give them. By the time I got home, my phone had a fresh text from Amber. Saw the article. You're killing it. Can we talk? I really need your advice. I didn't answer. Advice was all she'd ever get. Money, never again. And just when I thought the week couldn't get better, I ran into an old acquaintance from Seattle at the job site. Guy named Trevor, used to be in my high school circle. He shook my hand, wide-eyed. Man, I heard you had some kind of breakdown. Guess that was BS, huh? Yeah, I said with a grin. Turns out I was just busy building a life. He laughed, said he'd spread the word. Fine by me. Let the truth travel back up north. Every rumor my parents spread was crumbling piece by piece. That night, I sat at my desk, sketching out plans for the tower. My Walmart gift card was pinned to the corkboard above me. Not as some bitter reminder, but as fuel. Proof of how low they valued me and how high I'd climbed without them. Amber was broke. The condo was gone. Dad was unemployed, with a false police report hanging over his head. Mom's manipulation routine was falling flat. And me? I was on the rise. Paycheck solid, name in print, respect locked down. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. For the first time, they needed me more than I'd ever need them. And I had no intention of answering that call. Months passed. San Diego kept me busy. Long days on the tower project, nights at the gym, weekends grabbing food with coworkers or catching up with Monica. Life wasn't flashy, but it was mine. No fake drama, no forced guilt trips. Just peace. Then December rolled around. Holidays again. 1 year since I walked out with nothing but my keys and my truck. This time, I wasn't surrounded by torn wrapping paper and fake smiles. I was in my own apartment, looking out at the skyline, Christmas lights glowing in the distance. I thought about last year's Walmart gift card and laughed to myself. My life had never been lighter. That morning, an email from Mom hit my inbox. Subject line, we're trying. I almost deleted it without opening. But curiosity won. Inside, no sob story, no guilt, just short sentences. Your father picked up part-time work at the hardware store. I took a paid position at the community center. Amber is working 2 jobs now, waitressing at night and freelancing during the day. At the bottom, she added, we know words don't mean much. We're showing you we can take responsibility. Attached was a scanned receipt from a small payment they'd made toward my student loans. Not much, but real. They finally put skin in the game. I leaned back in my chair, surprised for the first time in years. They'd never lifted a finger before unless it was for Amber. Now they were clocking hours like the rest of us. 3 days later, a box arrived at my apartment. No big bow, no tacky card, just a plain cardboard box with my name on it. Inside was a professional-grade tool set. Heavy, polished, the kind that lasts decades. A small note sat on top in Mom's handwriting. Better late than never. Merry Christmas. I picked up one of the wrenches, turning it in my hand. Quality. Nothing like the $5 plastic card from last year. They weren't trying to buy me back. They were showing effort. For once, they respected me enough to get it right. I didn't call, didn't text, but I didn't throw it away either. I set the tool set on the shelf next to my drafting table, right below the Walmart card I'd pinned to the corkboard months earlier. The contrast said everything. Then and now, insult and effort. The next week, Amber called. I let it go to voicemail, then listened later. Her voice sounded drained. Nothing like the smug sister I grew up with. Ian, I get it now. Working double shifts is brutal. I used to think you were just being dramatic when you said you carried everything. You weren't. I don't expect money. I just needed to say I finally understand. She didn't ask for anything else. No hidden request, just an admission. For her, that was huge. I didn't rush to respond. A day later, I shot her a quick text. Keep working. You'll figure it out. That's the only way you'll stand on your own. No heart emoji, no soft closer, just facts. Meanwhile, my world in San Diego kept leveling up. Our tower project broke ground in early spring. News crews covering it. Reporters quoting me as the youngest lead project manager in the firm's history. My name was printed in trade journals, tied to a building that would stand for decades. Every old classmate and coworker from Seattle saw it online. Some even messaged me. Guess those rumors weren't true after all. I didn't bother correcting them. Let the results speak. One afternoon at the site, my boss clapped me on the back and said, "Kid, you keep this up, you'll be running your own division in 5 years." That night, I thought about Dad's old line, "You'll never get anywhere without us." Yeah, sure. I'd gotten further than they ever dreamed. Without them. Weeks later, Dad called. Against my better judgment, I picked up. "Ian," he said, voice lower than usual. Not barking, not lecturing. Almost careful. "We're doing what you asked. Working, cutting back. Even put money toward your loans. It's not much yet, but we're trying. We're not asking for handouts from you. Just letting you know we're sticking to the deal." I stayed quiet for a beat, letting him sweat. Then I said, "Good. Took you long enough. Keep it up if you want to stay in my orbit. You slip once, you're out." He didn't argue, just said, "Understood." That alone told me how far the power had shifted. By summer, I had everything I needed. Career on fire. Real friends. My own space. And a family that finally, after 26 years, learned what consequences feel like. Christmas came again. My apartment was full of coworkers, Monica, and a couple new friends from the site. Real laughter filled the room. Not the fake kind that used to echo in Seattle. On the shelf above my drafting table sat 2 objects side by side. The Walmart gift card, faded and unused, and the polished tool set they'd sent the year before. The story of my life in 2 artifacts. One was proof of how little they valued me. The other was proof they had no choice but to bend once I stood firm. I poured myself another coffee, looked out at the San Diego skyline, and grinned. They thought I was worth $5. Turns out I was priceless the second I stopped playing their game.